Heyo, I'm Colby from Sanitarium Productions. We're back again with another G.I. Joe action figure review. Today we're getting in our Wayback Machine and going back to 2003 with the G.I. Joe vs. Cobra Spytroops line. Pretty cool. So in today's episode we're taking a look at the Hoverstrike. This is essentially a radio-controlled hovercraft, which is cool in concept. I've never actually got around to looking at this thing in detail, so I'm kind of excited about that. We have pretty cool looking packaging. It's kind of a large box here, so plan accordingly. Got some nice cover art here, pretty typical of the G.I. Joe vs. Cobra Spytroops line. We got a nice little window thing here for the actual figure itself, which is Mirage. A nice throwback to some of the vintage line packaging, so very cool looking. Flip this thing up on the top and we may lose our light a little bit here, but it shows a couple of the action features. Same thing on the bottom side, pretty much the same as the top. Flipping it over to the side here. Let's see what I can do about the lighting on this thing. Bear with me. Here we go. Some more artwork. Looking over at the side again, that same artwork. And same thing on this side. And we flip it over onto the back side. We get a little bit better detailed view of the thing. Again, pretty traditional Spytroops line packaging here. We got the nice kind of blue grid background going on, and the vehicle, some of the action features, the artwork for the actual figure, and down here in the corner is the file card for the figure. So pretty cool looking. Again, it came out in around 2003, so yes, let's go ahead and unbox this thing and take a look and see what we got here. We've got a couple of pieces of tape on the side here, so I'm just going to use my handy dandy box cutter and cut that tape open. And we're going to try to pull this thing apart here. Lots of cardboard, it looks like. We'll toss this thing out. Just be aware that the file card is on the box itself as well, so you may want to clip that before you get rid of it in the trash can. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the tape holding in the action figure. There we go. He does come on this nice, got some cool plasticky thing here holding him in. And then underneath it is the actual figure. Just kind of yank on this to kind of pull it out. There we go. Nice. And I don't really know where to start here, so I'm just going to grab some of these inserts and start pulling cardboard apart. And it looks like we have... Ooh, here's the blueprint here. So the instruction sheet. That's cool. Don't lose that. We may need that here in a few minutes. Beyond that, I don't really know here. This kind of folds up oddly. I guess we got some tape here. There we go. And this should just fold out. Get the light out the way. Cool. So we have some missiles and accessories. We've got the actual radio control hovercraft thing. And we've got some more boxes here. We've got the actual remote control down here in the corner. The antenna is woven through this. And I'm just going to rip this cardboard instead of trying to cut it loose. There is the remote control. And we have another box up here in the top with some twisty ties. There we go. Let's get rid of this packaging here. Let's see here. Inside of this box should be the battery system. Clunk. So yeah, here is the battery charger. This crazy NiCad battery system, battery pack. Let's go ahead and unbag. Just a simple plastic bag holding the controller in. Kind of interesting looking. And another bag holding in the hovercraft. No tape on the bag. And this thing actually looks pretty cool. Interesting. So we will just, I guess, zoom in on this stuff and start taking a look at it here. But you get the controller, an AC power outlet, the cool battery pack, the vehicle, an accessory kit, the figure, and the instruction manual. So, not bad at all. Let's zoom in and see what we can see about all this stuff here. Let's go ahead and open up this little accessory kit. Got a nice piece of tape here on the front. Just cut that off real quick and just dump this stuff out here. So we have some cool little red missiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 missiles. We've got 2 airfan things. We got some kind of sway bar thing. And we have the, I guess this is the control panel. Probably attaches to this if I had to guess. So, yeah, that's all the accessories we get with this thing. Nothing too exciting, but we'll add them to the vehicle here in a moment. Let's jump right into the action figure here. This is Mirage. He comes with a nice little plasticky piece holding him in place to keep him from moving around and shipping. So we'll just kind of pull that off. It does look really cool though. Nice kind of injection molding thing that fits pretty well over top of him. Beyond that, the figure itself just sits in here, so we just yank him out real quick, and then the other little piece here is another plastic piece. So that's kind of a cool thing, but not really much use to anybody right now, so we'll trash it. And let's zoom in a little bit more here on the figure. Get some a little bit better lighting going on here. That's not too bad. We can deal with that. So the figure itself is pretty interesting looking. Again, this is from the Spytroops line, so this was a lot longer ago than the modern age that we have right now. So the articulation is much different. These are the essentially still made out of the O-ring system. I don't know why he's got a big 4 on his back here, but this is kind of cool looking. He does look kind of like Cyclops from the X-Men. These cool visors thing going on here. There's very nice detail work going on here. A nice bandolier, some grenades going on, some piping on his costume. Very futuristic looking, very interesting anyways. As far as articulation goes, the head spins about halfway around, but that's to be expected. It's on this crazy nub system that they had back in the day here. He does have up and down motion though, pretty good. Standard ball and swivel at the shoulder joints here. Standard ball or swivel at the shoulder or the elbow, and then the regular hinged elbow there as well. Pretty standard for this era of figures, so nothing really crazy there. Does have the O-ring in here, so he can twist all the way around and move his waist all the way around, however you want to go with him. He has the traditional T-hook at the waist here. This one's a little tight here, probably because of the age on it. It's a little sticky. Generally, you don't have any problems with the articulation on these things. This guy's a little tight here, but still plenty of forward motion anyways. Does have a single knee joint here as well, so pretty straightforward. Pretty cool looking figure. The color scheme is a little bit muted. There we go. His arms are a little tight here. Slightly muted color scheme here. I was expecting it to be a little bit more vibrant. It's more of a olive green color than it is kind of matching with the neon green colors, and I'm actually not disappointed in that. I actually like the closer colors to the kind of army kind of colors anyways. The more traditional color scheme works better for me, but you know, they went kind of crazy in some variations of these figures over the years, but it's nice to see this one didn't go too far out. So overall, yeah, pretty cool looking figure here. Let's go ahead and jump into the assembly process on this bad boy. There really are only two things that you really have to assemble. Three technically, but step one is attach stabilizer wing and steering handle. So that's we have these things here, which are the stabilizer wings. Flip this around so we can get to the back here. You'll notice on the back, the center of these green thingies here, you've got two open tab holes, whatever you want to call it. On the stabilizer wings themselves, you've got two little tab pokey hole things here. So you just kind of line these up and just press down in them, and they should lock into place. I don't think there's any difference in these two, so we're just going to kind of poke them in here and see what happens. They're kind of soft plastic, so they don't have that satisfying snap as I was expecting. This one is tilting to the left now, so I'm actually going to pull it out here, and it comes out pretty easily here. So I'm going to switch this over to the other side. So now it leans outside of the vehicle, so that's pretty cool. On the other stabilizer wing here, let's see how the best way is to explain this. If I can get the light to follow with us here. So on this thing here, on the very bottom of the stabilizer wing, you've got this little platform looking thing. And it does tilt to one side or the other, so that's kind of what tells you where it's going to tilt to. So just kind of look out for that. If it's angled, looking straight at it, if it's angled down to your right, that means it's the left side. So put it on the left here if you're looking at the rear of the vehicle. So again, going back to these two little tab joints here, and these are little more like balls than they are anything, but line them up and just press down on them until they lock into place, and there you go, you've got your stabilizer wings. This little thing right here is the steering handle, and there is one single point here at the front of the vehicle here above these two buttony looking things. So we're just going to jam that in there like that, and then your steering column kind of leans back to the side here. Your steering wheel itself is this yellow thing here. It's got some interesting stickers on it. As far as whether it goes up or down, I don't know. I think it showed it with the sticker on the top part here. So we're going to do it that way. There's just a peg hole here in the back. You just line it up and press it into place, and there you go. It will kind of move around on you, and you can kind of steer it left or right there. So that's fairly interesting anyways. There you go. There is step 1. Step 2, attach missiles to vehicle. So we've got 6 of these red missiles here. The front of this thing above these fans, these little pieces here are the actual missile launchers. So we're going to take a missile for each of these things and just slide it into the launcher. And for whatever reason, these things don't really latch into place here. Which is odd. I don't know if those things are supposed to pull power from it or what, but we'll look at the missile launching piece in a minute. So anyways, we'll take the other missile here and just put it in there for right now. The other 4 missiles that you have actually attached to the back here. So on the bottom of these things, you've got a little slot here, and they just line up with these little raised pieces on the back side here. We'll turn this up a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. So these little fins here on the back actually are the connection points. So you just line those up and just kind of press down on it, and they just kind of sit there, which is a bit of a weird design choice, but hey, that's the way it works. So just go ahead and slap those on there real quick. Kind of an interesting thing, but they tend to be a little loose on these things and don't really hold real well and have a tendency to fall off and get lost. So anyways, that's how you attach the missiles to the vehicle. So it appears that the missile launchers on the front actually need power to work. That's the best guess I can make here without actually having power to this thing. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get this power brick on to be charging. So it's a nickel, I don't know what this means, but 1200 milliampere 7.2 volt battery pack here. Got a nice connector point on the front here. It did come with a cool charger here. This is just a regular 9 volt 200 milliamp AC adapter with a cool little plug on the end of it. So what you'll do is you'll take the plug from the AC adapter and line it up. It's got one of these kind of cool coated adapters here, so you've got a square point on one of them and a round one on the other one. So you just kind of line that up and just plug it in. So the square one will end up going to your red wire, and your rounded bit will go up to the black wire on your charger or battery pack here. Just kind of line those up and press in on it, and it snaps. Got this nice little hinge joint here. There you go. Press down on that to unhook it, and then just pull it back apart. Mostly. You may have to apply some force to get it to come out, but there you go. It works pretty well. Again, this thing is from 2003, so it's a 15-year-old connector, so what are you going to do about it? So anyways, I am going to go ahead and put this thing on to charge. It'll probably take about an hour. Then we will come back and try to see if the missiles work at that point. But there's the charger anyways, and we'll go ahead and get that on there to let it be charging. While we have the battery pack on the charger, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual features of this thing here. The non-powered features anyway, so we can kind of see and get a vibe of the vehicle here. It's a pretty interesting design here. Let's shift it this way so we can kind of see it from a top angle. You've got these cool fans on the top that do the hovercraft thing and should lift it up. You've got two firing missile launchers on the front. They are supposed to be delayed reaction missile launchers, so we will test that out when we get power. There's really not much we can do right now. They do kind of raise up a little bit, not very far, but a little bit. There's about 3 click points in this thing, so that's interesting anyways. You have 2 cool looking foot pegs here on the center here for your driver to stand on and grab the wheel. We just so happen to have our handy dandy figure here. So we'll just kind of stick Mirage in here and lean him forward and grab the handlebars, and there you go. That's kind of how it works. It's kind of loose here. The foot pegs are really big and don't really hold very well, to be honest with you. So you're probably going to knock the guy off a few times if you've got it running while he is standing on it. So plan accordingly, I suppose, but it's interesting anyways. I think a seat probably would have been a better idea here, but concept-wise it does work, so there you go. It's a fairly large vehicle as well. Having the figure here for reference here, we've got 1, 2, 3.5 figures long by about, let's see here, 1, 2, about 3 figures wide. So again, pretty cool looking, pretty large anyways. The back side has your power switch on it. It's got a red LED light here, so you'll know if it's on or off. Your missiles tend to fall off, but that's okay. They just attach right back. Flip this thing up on its side here so we can see from the profile here. Pretty interesting looking. It's got some nice stickers on it that came pre-applied. The back side has some interesting stuff going on here for these jet things, and a cool turbo engine looking thing on the back. A nice radar looking sticker here on the back as well, so pretty cool. Beyond that, not really a whole lot going on this thing, but it is what it is. It's a nice design. It looks pretty cool. It's big and kind of cool looking, so yep, that's pretty much what we got here. In case any of y'all are wondering, here we happen to have our handy Beachhead figure from the 25th anniversary line here. He looks pretty interesting sitting in this thing. The foot pegs do not match up, so you can't put him on there, but you can kind of stick him in the front here to use that as a seat, and that actually works pretty well, to be honest with you. Hold it in place here, so that actually works out pretty well. So if you've got a hankering to use this thing in your 25th anniversary line, shouldn't have a problem. The color scheme is again this kind of really bright neon green with some darker green added in, and this crazy yellow color scheme. So it's kind of weird, but it kind of works. There are multiple places on the vehicle itself for other figures to stand. There just aren't any foot pegs anywhere, so you kind of have to just place them on there and hope they don't fall off when you're radio controlling it around. So, but it's nice that you can attach figures here and have that guy sit there on the back engine and just keep them away from the big fans, I suppose. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting design. It's got some neat little features. Yeah, it does. Here we have the remote control that comes with this. It's kind of small. It is kind of shaped like the actual Mirage itself, which is kind of cool. Little buttons here, forward, back, side to side. They're kind of springy little push buttony things here, so not really the greatest remote in the world. It's got a button here on the center, an on-off switch, and a flexible antenna. So yes, that's kind of what you have here. On the back here, we've got the battery compartment. So let's go ahead and take the compartment loose. This thing takes one 9-volt battery. And it's got this little tiny screwdriver head. There we go. Pop that thing loose. And I just happen to have a 9-volt battery here. And line it up according to the instructions here in the center. Negative on this side, positive on this side. Smash it back in there. Put your cover back on there. And tighten it back down. And there we go. Tighten it back down. There we go. Flip it back over, and if you turn it on, the little light right here lights up. So yeah, that's kind of what we get with a remote control. So pretty cool. Not too special. I do like the fact that it does match up with the actual Hoverstrike vehicle itself, so that's a bonus. But kind of a cheap remote. But what do you expect here for 15 years ago? We'll get around to actually seeing what this thing will do here in a few moments. So I have gone ahead and charged up the battery pack. It says to take about 6 hours to fully charge the thing. I honestly did not wait that long. I charged it for about 3 hours, and hopefully that's enough juice to at least give us a little bit of a show here to see what this thing can do. So let's go ahead and install this battery pack. To do that, we have to flip this thing over and try, hopefully not everything will fall off or break apart or anything like that. I'm going to pull the steering mechanism off so we don't crush it. On the back panel here, we've got this cool little latchy system in here. So we're going to take our screwdriver and just open this thing up. If I can keep that in there. Taking that screw. I hate these really tiny screws. So this thing just pops off like so. We have the actual battery terminal connection right here. We'll hook this thing up same as we hooked it up to the charger. It will only fit one way, so if it isn't fitting, you got it on wrong. And we want to stuff this thing in here like this, I guess. There we go. Replace the cover. Tighten the screw back down. And there we go. We've got this thing ready to drop and knock everything loose on it. So let's power it up and see what happens. So we're zoomed out as far as this thing will let us go, and we're going to power this thing on and see what happens here. So we have our radio control over here, powered on. We got a red light here, so that's good. Got a switch on the back next to this other little red light here. The air thing starts flowing as soon as you turn it on, which is what we just heard. So at least the thing works, so that's a good thing. Let's go ahead and try this again, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, that didn't work too well. Now let's try it again and see if we did something wrong here. So this thing isn't actually working. How about that? Let's, I guess, cut here and we'll look at the instruction book and see what it says it's supposed to do here. After consulting with the manual, I have come to the conclusion that this thing is just a little bit flimsy and kind of a piece of junk. One of the fan blades and this side of it is actually broken. I can look in there and see that it's in two pieces, the little rotor blades. This side is working intermittently. It'll work for about 5 seconds and then stop working. So yeah, there's that to deal with. So yeah, it really doesn't work. It's a pretty cool concept, but I don't know if it's just age or what it is, but this one is kind of messed up. So we don't get to actually see it going around doing anything from here on out because, again, it is broken. I did look at the instructions, though, and so what you have here is essentially this thing is just running all the time. You can turn left with it and right with it, and that's really all these two controllers do is left or right. Then to make it go forward, you press this center button here, and it's supposed to turbo boost it forward. Then you can double press it and go forward faster, theoretically. But again, the thing is broken, so we can't really test that to find anything out. So yeah, that's kind of sad, but I don't know. You can luckily just kind of disassemble this thing here. There's a couple of screws holding these fan cases on. We could replace it with some new rotor blades, I'm assuming, if I can find some that fit. But I'm probably not going to bother with it because it's really not going to be that useful anyways. But there you have it. There's the kind of the quick and dirty version of it anyways. So cool concept, but it failed in execution. So there's a review for the G.I. Joe Hoverstrike with Mirage. It's a very interesting concept. If we had opened it up, 15 years ago when it first came out, I'm expecting it probably would have worked a lot better. But due to age, things have just deteriorated, and the system itself just doesn't really work too well. So that's kind of a disappointment to me. But the vehicle itself still looks really cool. It can definitely has potential for maybe some paint jobs and some custom work, and it could be an interesting addition to your vehicle fleet. The remote is pretty bare bones, so yeah, you could probably swap it out with a newer version of it and kind of get it to work a little bit better. You could also replace some of the fan mechanisms and probably get it to work pretty well nowadays, but that seems like a lot of trouble for what it is. You do get a cool new figure here in the vintage styling. For whatever reason, they actually did not go with the traditional Spytroops line for this figure and went with the original vintage mold instead, so that's kind of a cool thing, and it's a pretty interesting figure, so that's a bonus. Past that, don't really know if it's really something that most people are going to be interested in, so I would say it's not really recommended. It'll appeal to some of you all out there, so if it's something that does seem like it's up your alley, by all means go pick you one up. These things are not really that expensive, probably because of many of the reasons we've seen here today that it don't work. But be your own judge, see what you think about it, and hopefully you'll have better luck than I had. That's all the time we've got for today, so thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up if you like what you see. Drop some comments down below. Let us know what you think of the Hoverstrike. If you've got one of these, have you had any of the similar situations that I've illustrated in this video? Or did yours work correctly? If you'd like to see anything in future episodes, drop us a line and let us know that as well. Until next time, Yo Joe.